live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com. This is the Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
John, I don't know whether to be puzzled, angered, or humored. This controversy concerning exactly what did Ottawa City Council approve vis-a-vis climate, etc., etc. And there's a big controversy, and I'm beginning to suspect that many city councillors, maybe all of them, really don't know what they voted for on July 6th and maybe some other time. I don't know. I'm really beginning, and I have a letter here from Glenn Gower, who is the councillor for Ward 6, that's Stittsville. And he's trying to claim that what I wrote on Facebook and what I was saying here and you were saying on Friday isn't really right. When you read very carefully between the lines here, I am beginning to suspect that what we said is exactly right. So let's just review what we said on Friday. And by the way, we're not the only ones saying this, John. There are others. Just go through very briefly the other people who are saying exactly the same thing here.
So the report that we referenced when we first brought this up was published by icsc-canada.com. They are an environmental group, but they, well, let me get to their website and I'll tell you exactly what they are. ICSC. I don't want to put
International Science Coalition.
Science Coalition, right? So they are a third party who look at cost benefits and analysis, and they break it down and try and bring to light what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And they're, by the way, on the side of doing the best we can for our planet. But they publish this, and it's them who are highlighting and are extremely concerned about the city of Ottawa's plan. So,
all right, here's the plan.
Go ahead.
Very briefly. We don't have that much time. Sorry, John.
No.
Highlights of the plan. This is what we said on Friday. And by the way, as you will see when I go a little further, it would appear that the city has, in fact, approved this plan. Maybe a slight variation, but essentially has approved this plan. I'll let you make your own decision when I read the letter that I got from Glenn Gower. So here is the plan. Elimination of all fossil fuel use within the city. This is between now and 2050, okay? Gas-powered cars in the city to be banned. Banning of cars in whole areas of the city. Banning natural gas appliances, requiring new homes and buildings to be heated with electricity. Mandating conversion of the city to all electric heat. Construction of 710 wind turbines, each taller than the Peace Tower, and 36 square kilometers of solar panels, all within city limits. Cost to be covered, and by the way, apparently the city has approved this plan as well. Cost to be covered by $118 car registration per year, tolls to travel on city streets, GPS tracking of your travels required, daily fee of $20 per vehicle to enter the city of Ottawa, and special permits to park on city streets. This is from the city's own plan, okay? This is what we said on Friday, and what others are saying, including the International Climate Science Coalition. So, is it true or not? Okay, I'm going to read you word for word the response I got from Glenn Gower. He is the councillor for Ward 6, that is Stittsville. And by the way, I phoned Glenn before going on the air, and I got the old, sorry, but your call is very important to us. Please leave a message. Well, the message I left was, I said, Glenn, this is very confusing. I'm really beginning to wonder whether you or any member of council really understand what the hell you have voted on. And I asked him to get back to me. So here is what Glenn Gower says. The July 6th agenda, listen carefully, and then you tell me if I'm right, that they have approved the plan. This is what Glenn Gower writes, quote, the July 6th agenda included a climate change master plan, climate vulnerability and risk management report. The report's attached along with the city. The documents do mention several initiatives that council could consider in the future to meet greenhouse gas emission reductions to zero. But city council has not actually approved any of these measures. Well, wait a minute. They haven't approved these measures because the next sentence, next paragraph that Glenn Gower writes says, quote, the statements in the Facebook post that you shared are false because they all claim city council voted to approve these measures. Well, wait a minute. Then he says, quote, council approved the energy evolution strategy, which recommended some or equivalent measures to be in order to meet the goal of 100% of global emission reduction by 2050, but did not approve any specific implementation. Decision on implementation would be subject to public consultation at a later time. So you see how confusing this is. He says the council didn't approve it, but then he says council approved the energy evaluation study, which recommended some or equivalent measures in order to meet the goal of 100%. So they did approve it. According to Glenn Gower, they did approve it. And then he says on another note, the post referenced City of Ottawa $60 billion climate plan. Well, apparently we were out there because he says that's another misleading statement.
Yeah.
And the modeled, now listen, this is very important. In the model 100% global emission reduction scenario by 2050, the cumulative community-wide investment, in other words, cost, from 2020 to 2050 is estimated to be $57.4 billion. So we rounded it out at $60 billion. By 2050, it'll be well past 60. However, the projected net financial benefits is $87.7 billion. He says, made through operational and maintenance savings, energy savings, carbon price savings, and revenue from local generation. Yeah, the local generation, so in other words, they did approve a plan to reduce emissions by zero by 2050. And this is the plan. Now he says, well, we didn't approve implementation. Wait a minute. You've approved the plan, but you didn't approve implementation. Can anybody explain to me exactly what this means?
I'm so glad to hear you break it down like this because I read that same email. I was in on that, and I couldn't make sense of it either. And so the minute you and I got on for a little preamble before the show, I'm like, thank goodness it's not just me. It makes no sense. And to say that we're spreading misinformation because, I mean, we're not spreading misinformation. Okay, so we're off by a couple of dollars, but it's not misinformation. There's
another point. Sorry, John.
No.
There's another point that's very important here. Glenn Gower says, well, the city never approved this. In other words, he's saying, well, we don't have such a plan. Well, if you don't have a plan, how come you know the cost?
Oh, that's a great question.
You've costed this out, so you must have a plan. Glenn and City Council, what the hell are you talking about? You're telling me that the cost is exactly, well, within, 1% of the figure that we gave. So you must have all of these things as a plan in order to determine the cost. So you know it right down to the 0.7. So you must have the plan. So it's crazy. If anybody can understand any of this, folks, please don't get turned off and say, oh, it's too confused. This is the future of our city. This is the future. I mean, the plan says we're going to ban all natural gas appliances. You won't be able to drive into Ottawa. It'll be a $20 fee just to go into Ottawa. There'll be tolls on the roads. 710 giant turbines within the city limits. 3,600 square miles of solar panels covering 3,600 square kilometers of grass and trees and all the rest of it.
Well, how many trees do we need to clear in order to make this green energy thing happen?
But I come back for people to say, oh, well, wait a minute. If they don't have a plan, including every single aspect of the plan, how do they know the cost right down to the dollar? Stop and think about it. He says, well, we don't have a plan. Well, wait a minute. If you don't have a plan, how do you get a cost? I suggest to you that absolutely everything that we have said here is absolutely true, but for some reason, whatever it means that we haven't voted to implement it. In other words, the plan is sitting there like a smoldering turd on the doorstep, but we haven't really kicked the turd into the house.
So does city council do this a lot? Do they sit there and just, take time at council meetings, passing things and talking about things that aren't actually going to ever be put into effect? That makes no sense to me at all.
But then they say council approved the energy evolution strategy, which recommended so they did approve it. I know I keep coming back to this, but this is totally misleading. Now, it could very well be Glenn. I don't know Glenn at all.
I do.
Apparently, you know him and you
I like
the
guy. I do very much.
But I just don't think that he really understands what it is that was voted on. And I'm beginning to suspect many others don't. Now, here's my main concern. According to the latest polls, the leading candidate, the person most likely to be the next mayor, is Catherine McKinney. And this is her pipe dream. Essentially, this plan is her plan.
There.
So if Catherine McKinney becomes mayor, and there's a very good chance she will, I mean, I think we're blued, hued, screwed, and tattooed. I think that not only will she put this plan into effect, but I think that she'll add to it. I think that this plan essentially would totally impoverish the city of Ottawa. It would totally change the atmosphere. Can you imagine 750 giant turbines? John, you pointed this out, 36 square kilometers of solar panels. That's several times larger than the Central Experimental Farm.
It's almost 4 times larger than the Central Canada Experimental Farm.
4 times larger than that, all covered with solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
This is, folks, whether you think, well, they haven't implemented. The fact of the matter is, City Council has approved this, has costed it out to the last cent. It sits there ready to be implemented, if you let them. Let me ask you this. If Glenn Gower or Catherine McKinney or the mayor or anybody came to you and said, would you approve this 710 wind turbines, banning of all natural gas appliances, new homes, buildings to be heated with electricity, would you approve that? That's, according to Glenn Gower, it will not be implemented without public consultation. Now, here's the problem with public consultation. I've been to a number of them. I mean, I've been at this game since 1956, okay? I've been at a few of them. Inevitably, these so-called public consultations are taken up by about 6 zealots. And in this case, you are sure that the zealotry will all be environmental wackos. You can absolutely guarantee. You don't think Catherine McKinney is not an environmental wacko? You don't think Glenn Guilbeault is an environmental wacko? This guy once scaled the, what is it, the CN Tower?
CN Tower, yeah.
In order to protest something or other. These people are not normal people. So, and this is what public consultation will involve. There'll be about 8 to 10 at the most environmental wackos who will dominate, and anybody who tries to add any sanity to this will be absolutely shot down. It's scary that City Council it wasn't even reported as far as I know.
I've seen it nowhere but the Lowell Green Show and on the Nick and Joe Show here on BTR. That's it. But
the vote. I'm trying to get the vote.
Me
Did
too.
everybody vote for this? We can't even. According to him, the July 6th agenda included a climate change master plan, climate vulnerability and risk management report, which was approved. Who voted for it? Did all council vote for it? Was it unanimous? I don't know. It's this is no way to run a city, folks. This is no way to run a country. Anyhow, just so my question to you is, what do you think of this? What would you do if, in fact, this plan is implemented? And as I say, if members of council came to you and said, "Would you vote for me? I'm going to vote for this." What would you do? Because I think it's going to come down to this. Mark my words.
All right,
John.
Yep.
Got
David,
any response?
David's on hold. He's been on hold for a while, but this is a great opportunity. Tom Harris from ICSC emailed me this morning. So here are the mayoral debates on the environment. Okay, if this is important to you, here's your opportunity to show up and ask the candidates their position on this and what they know about it as well. So Barrhaven, Tuesday, August 16th.
That's gone now. That's over.
Okay, you're right. It is. Kanata, Tuesday, August 30th. So that's tomorrow. Kanata from 6 until 8 p.m. at the Walter Baker Park, Kanata Rec Center.
Now, can I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
How come I don't know about this? How come I bet you not one person listening knows anything about this?
I didn't know about it until Tom Harris sent it to us. And of course, he's behind ICSE. He's paying everything environmental.
I believe it's already started. This is part of the great masking. They got these meetings, but nobody knows about the meeting. There's a meeting tomorrow in Kanata between 6 and 4. What is the meeting about?
It is mayoral debates on the environment, panel discussions, and Q&A, followed by, candidates meet and greet with residents. It's an outdoor event.
Where?
Kanata, Walter Baker Park, tomorrow, 6 until 8. And then one in Orleans, Wednesday, September 7th, from 6 until 8 at the Orleans United Church.
So it's the best kept secret, I guess, right? Let's keep hey, we got these meetings.
There's not even a website addressing this to the city or anything like that. It's please RSVP at Eventbrite, which is, like a ticket seller. I mean, that's ridiculous.
This is what's going on, folks. This is what's going on.
Apparently, according to Tom. Yep.
All right. Got to get a word in here before. Sorry, John. Got to get a word in here for our good friends. I mentioned on Friday that Shields has been with me since day one. Over 400 shows. We can't get any other sponsors because all of the sponsors are afraid to tie themselves to a raving conservative, which I am. I'm a raving conservative. In this city, that's very dangerous. It costs you a lot of business. But Shields has stuck with me. They've stuck with me. I'd like you to stick with them. These are people who have principles. They have, as I say, great product. They got all of the products. Price is very competitive. Check out the Shields Furniture and Appliance website, folks. Support them, please. I guess I'll just say it again. At least give them a chance. Don't just say, I'm going to get from Big Bad Boy or whatever the hell, or Good Boy or whatever it is. At least give Shields a chance. You'll be surprised. They're really good. John, let's we have David on the phone.
David, you've been on hold forever.
Sorry, David. Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, you and me.
I'm speechless. No, I've been with you since 1956, and how come? Where's Bayshore Shirley on this? She's in all this stuff, or she used to be.
Oh my God, this is my old buddy David. Oh, it's so good. My God, David, I'm so happy to hear from you.
Oh my God, Lowell, we haven't been on a cruise for a while now.
David, I tried to feed David to the sharks on one of our cruises one time. Oh, Dave, yeah, I'm speechless too. You're right, and I'm, this so confusing. Well, we didn't actually vote to implement it. David, how would you like a giant wind turbine in your backyard? How would that suit you, sir?
Oh yeah, I'm on the 15th floor overlooking the city.
Yeah.
And I don't see one house. I see apartment buildings peeking up through the green forest. And I get to see a house in the fall when the trees lose their leaves.
Yes.
And am I going to sit here and watch all these turbines?
Oh, absolutely. And solar panels. They're going to put a solar panel out in your back. No, I don't. 750 giant turbines in the city, in the city itself. David, I have to move on. It's so good to hear from you, my old buddy.
Well, they don't have the right to do this.
I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you, David.
They
God bless.
have our permission.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Thank
later.
Thank you, David. Oh my God, he's an old friend. We took several cruises together, had wonderful times together, and I did.
He was on hold for a good 20 minutes.
Oh, he was a
really
great
walked
guy.
in on that.
He's a great guy. I recognized the voice in about a month or two. Just brings tears to my eyes. All of these old CFRA listeners coming back. Good for them. Good for them.
See, and that is part and parcel because the listener, the viewer is sharing this show and word is getting out. You know that Lowell Green show you used to listen to? Yeah, he's still on, you know.
Yep.
You just don't know how it happens. So thank you to everyone who clicks the share button on social media so that others can find it.
It's amazing to me how few people actually do share. I mean, we have 600, 700, 800 views sometimes on Facebook and maybe about 20 shares.
147 on right now. If 147 people shared this, woo.
Yep. John, what are people saying here?
613-413-2217. What I find interesting is that gas vehicles are almost all made of recyclable materials. The batteries of the electric vehicles are not and hold materials that are dangerous to mine and are toxic to the planet. The Earth is a living organism that changes as it adapts. We have made changes to help, but responsible agriculture is one way to help with the pollution we create.
Yeah, what's your feeling about all of this, though? Folks, let's not get sidetracked. Let's deal with this. City Council, from everything I can understand, has approved a plan which will absolutely revolutionize this city. I've gone through this several times. Almost $60 billion in costs. Folks, we've got to address this. Please adapt your minds and say, listen, like David said, they can't do this without our permission. Your comments on this, please. Go ahead.
That's right. They work for us, and people need to be reminded of that. And by the way, if you've done the math, it's very simple. Can you imagine? Think of all the people coming in from Brockville, Kempville, Cornwall, Arnprior, Almont, into the city of Ottawa every single day. If that was even 10,000 cars at $20 a piece, that's $200,000 a day. Cost benefits my ass. It's another tax on the taxpayer, is what it is.
Of course,
it's a money grab.
Say they're snickering. Well, we were wrong. We said 60 billion, but in fact, their figure is 57.4 billion.
Because we know how this city's, always right on budget with everything they touch.
But then they say that the projected net financial benefit, 87.7 billion. Well, how the hell did you project a financial benefit if you don't have a plan? I go back to this. You don't lie to us.
Also, where do you get those numbers from?
From the plan.
Even if they admit that they've got a plan, where do they get those numbers from? That's pie in the sky stuff.
Yeah, but
they did the same projections, did they not, Lowell, when they put the wind turbines in Ontario under the Wynne government?
Oh yeah.
You talk every day about the fact we're still waiting for
I want to make a point here. In order for them to tell us that the benefit is going to be 87.7 billion, that means that they have put all kinds of people to work for God knows how long, costing everything out. In other words, someone figured out the cost of 710 turbines, 36 square kilometers of solar panels. How are we going to get rid of all of the gas appliances? What will the cost be? Can you imagine the man hours that it took, that we paid for all of these City Hall employees to figure out the cost right down to the dollar? And then they turned around and say, well, we don't have a plan. You are lying to us. Go ahead, John.
Glenn Gower, we invite your call, 613-413-2217 anytime. I will make extra time for you, Glenn. I will make extra time for you. Hi, Lowell. This person says I would shut the door on any candidate who subscribes and would vote for these environmental utopia ideas.
I would hope so.
Ann says we have city councilors who vote on policies they know nothing about and the future consequences of these policies. Kathy's comment is, has anyone stopped to think about without fossil fuels, there won't even be the electric vehicles as they're also made from fossil fuels?
Yeah, but don't forget, this is only for Canada. All of these vehicles, very clearly, if we can't have any fossil fuels in Canada, very clearly we won't be able to make any cars, right? So we will then, what will we do? Well, we'll let China make all of the cars, or the United States. I mean, if we can't have fossil fuels, we can't have a manufacturing industry. Simple as that. We can't make steel without it. We can't make cars. We can't make tanks. We can't make anything. So what we're going to do is we are somehow or other, we are going to become this great, great green revolution country. And, but like we won't even be able to make the turbines. How are we going to make the turbines and install the turbines if we can't burn fossil fuels? Beats the bejesus out of me. Go ahead, John.
David, thank you for following up and reminding me. David sent me a survey that is it Hydro Ottawa, David, or sorry, it's Hydro Ottawa has a survey out asking all kinds of questions regarding green energy, et cetera. It's something he suggests we all take a look at. I'm posting that link right now. It's at Canada2020.com, so please have a look at that. We need to wake up to what is happening. We need to get involved. They work for us. We need to get comfortable to have these uncomfortable conversations. This person texts in. Let's go to the top of the heap. Lynn says, what I find hilarious is these environmental green energy idiots. They don't want any fossil fuels when they live is their totally electric house. What do they plug their electric appliances into? Wait for it, like plastic sockets. Ha. Chrissy says, this is ridiculous, absolutely outrageous. This is going to cost millions. Who the hell came up with these ideas?
Billions. It's billions. It's, according to the city itself, $57.4 billion. Now, you know, if you don't care, let me ask you this. What do you think would happen to healthcare if we were able to spend $57.4 billion improving healthcare? Think we might be able to fix long-term care? Think we might stop the lineups at emergency wards, et cetera, et cetera? You think we might not have to wait 6 months or 6 years for an MRI? No. Instead of spending $57 billion on healthcare or education, no, we're going to spend it on windmills. And Ottawa City Council has obviously approved this. Go ahead, John.
And what did you tell me just before we came on the air? Our wind turbines were producing in this province today on a windy.
Yeah, this is they're at about maximum. There's 42 giant wind farms right now. This is the highest percentage that I have seen in months. 14.8% combined wind and solar. The wind today is just about perfect. But even with a perfect wind and reasonable sun, we still can't get 15% of our needs. So even if we, let's see, this is something else. Even if we erect 710 wind turbines and the wind doesn't blow, what good are they? Where are we going to get the power then? We'll have to, and we're not going to have fossil fuels. There's no wind. How are we going to get the power? You know, how are you going to power your Mixmaster, your vacuum cleaner, your dishwasher? 15%. Well, you'd be able to function 15% of the time, apparently. But don't forget, if we're only getting 15% of the power we need, then there's no industry. There's no jobs except in government. John, go ahead, please.
To email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. Paul, always good to hear from you. He says, for me, I feel we're caught up in this total panic to do everything that involves going green and non-fossil fuel, regardless of the feasibility or cost to our debt and economy, and to do it yesterday. I will look for a candidate who comes out clearly to not purchase the electric buses for $400 million in debt, and they can throw those windmills into the statement as well. That will get my vote. And a reminder of these mayoral meetings, again, this was sent to us from Tom at ICSC Canada. This is important. So the one in Barhaven already happened. Okay, so we missed the boat on that. There's one in Kanata tomorrow. Okay, from 6 until 8, Walter Baker Park. Apparently, all of the mayoral candidates are going to be there. Your chance to ask them their position, and this is an environmental debate, okay? From 6 till 8, Walter Baker Park, right near the Kanata Rec Center in Kanata from 6 until 8. And then Orleans, Wednesday, September 7th, 6 until 8 at the Orleans United Church. And I'm willing to bet Glenn Gower will be amongst the crowd. Chance to maybe ask him a question or two.
Best kept secret. Nobody, we're having these meetings, debates or whatever it is, but nobody knows anything about it. Why? Well, because there might be some people that are asking some embarrassing questions, and they don't want that. Thank you all, folks. Back tomorrow.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.